This is the plaintiff, Stephen Perry. He says he's a landscaper who provided excellent services for the defendant, and the guy refuses to pay him. The guy never complained about his work. He's owed this money and is suing him here and now for the $300 past due. This is the defendant, Bruce Plaskett. He says the plaintiff's taken care of his property for the past 6 years, and quite frankly, he hasn't been doing a very good job of it. This isn't a matter of $300. It's about the principle. Do a good job, get paid in full. Do a bad job, don't get paid in full. He's accused of weeding out on a landscaper. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $725 for repair work needed to his lawn.
All parties, please raise your right hand. Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay. Stephen Perry Landscaping, represented here by Mr. Perry. You are suing Bruce Plaskett.
Correct.
Your former client for $300 for March lawn services that you say he has not paid you for. You are counterclaiming against him $725 for work that I guess you've already paid him for that you've decided that he did not do appropriately. All right, let me hear from you. What's going on?
Yes, ma'am. Prior to the commencement of the year, I notified Mr. Plaskett that there was two things that we needed to do required to keep the services on his property. Number one,
you have been doing his lawn for how long?
We landscaped the initial landscaping of his lawn in 2006 and have been maintaining it since then.
Okay, and you charge how much for maintaining it?
We charge a flat rate of $300 a month.
Okay.
So I notified him that, these two things that needed to be done to the property. And because of the exorbitant amount of fuel and what fertilizer prices have done, that we would need an increase of $400 a year, which was about $33 a month, in order to offset the cost.
And when do you notify him of that?
I notified that in December.
And how do you notify him? You notify him and all your other clients?
Yeah, I notified everybody.
Through mail, through email, how?
I verbally talked to my clients. Okay. I stay in touch with all of them.
So did you talk to him?
Yes, ma'am. I talked to him personally. He said he'd have to think about it. And I said, well, Bruce, it's pretty much what we have to do. And that's the way, the only way we can keep maintaining your yard. I came back again at the beginning of January to talk to him again about it, because that was going to be the commencement of the change of the prices. Upon arriving on the property, I walked the property and he was outside, and I noticed that there had been a large tree thrown in the beds in the azaleas. I said, Bruce, what is this? And he said, it's my Christmas tree. I said, well, why is it thrown in the bed with the plants and the flowers? And he goes, oh, I was going to put it up front, but they won't accept it unless I chop it in small pieces and stuff like that. And I said, well, it needs to be taken out of the beds. And he goes, well, I'm on my way to China right now. So, if you haul it off, I'll pay you. And I said, okay, well, go ahead and give me, you need $25 and I'll haul it off. And to make light of it or something like that. He said something to the effect that, well, I don't have $25 last night. I took my girlfriend to dinner last night. I spent $80. Just bill me for it. I said, okay, that's fine, Bruce. No problem. So we left the property and continued with his maintenance. And again, I brought up, about the increase of the thing. He says, well, I'll have to think about that. And I said, okay, Bruce, well, you need to think about it.
You need to give him a little bit of lawn and a little growth room for him to think about it. You're still actually going to and taking care of it without him agreeing to the new price?
Yes, ma'am, because we're committed to take care of the property.
I know.
We originally landscaped.
People will think faster if their lawn is like out of control and growing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't go, they'll probably think a lot faster.
Well, the only problem with that, ma'am, is the reason the customers have us in the Tampa Bay area, the homes that we do, and he realizes what kind of homes we take care of. People invest tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's why he needs to think faster.
Mr. Plaskett invested tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, that's why he needs to think faster. But I don't understand. But it's simple. It's either he wants to pay that or he doesn't want to pay it because he doesn't think you're worth it. Or he can't afford it. Either way is fine, but just a decision has to be made. I don't understand why you have to keep chasing him for the decision.
Well, because I need to know,
No, I know why you want to know. I don't understand why you have to chase him.
Okay.
All right, so now here's the second time, and he says, I still need to think about it, and you're still going.
He's on his way to China.
Okay.
Is what he tells me.
Is there a Mrs. Plaskett at the house?
At the time, I didn't know she was at the residence or not. I was still in contact with her, and I had talked to her on several occasions and was asking her because we were getting bills that were paid late and stuff like that. And she goes, well, he has the money to pay you. I said, well, he's writing me checks all the time, and he's telling me to hold on to these checks. don't deposit it till this date, don't deposit it to this date, don't deposit it to this date. And I'm telling him, I'm like I'm saying, Bruce, I don't understand this. And then when I talked to Mrs. Plaskett, she informed me he has plenty of money. He can pay that.
Okay, but they're not together. She can't wait to.
I didn't
But
know.
it sounds like that. Are you? Are you?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Go ahead.
There's a separation. Okay. There's a separation between the two of them. That's why she told me this. She goes, he has the money, Steve. She goes, don't let him think that he doesn't have the money.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And I said, fine.
So now it's January. He goes to China. How long is he in China? 3 months?
I think he
4
was
months?
a couple of weeks. He
Okay,
was gone
right.
a few weeks.
So when do you get an answer from him on the hike?
Still haven't got an answer back from him. Called him, left emails with him, called him continuously. We called and called. He wouldn't return any of our phone calls. Wouldn't respond.
Stop going.
So,
Are you paid up by then?
Yeah, he's paying us. Well,
He's paying you in January.
he's paying us at the end of every month.
Right,
Unlike
but
all
he paid
the,
January?
He paid in January.
He paid February?
He paid February.
All right. And so the real problem begins in March where he doesn't pay March.
No, because we've had enough with it. Okay, we've had enough with him not responding to the emails, and he knows what under the gun what he is. So he's just hiding from me. He's not going to return any phone calls.
Okay. So March is the first month that he doesn't pay you.
Right. In March, okay, I had enough. He hadn't returned my phone calls. That's when I made the call to his wife, who then, or just distant wife or whoever it was, and he told her, I mean, I don't know what the conversation was there. I'm not privy to that, but the understanding was she talked to him, and I immediately get an email on the 19th, okay, from him. This is the first contact I've had in 7 weeks from I've heard from him, okay? And on the 19th, he sends me an email saying, I understand that you're not willing to spray my shrubs anymore for the same price we agreed upon, but I'm going to go ahead and keep you on and pay you $200 a month.
Oh,
And I'm thinking, wow,
Wait,
wow, I'm doing great in this business. I've been
Hold
in
on.
for.
But what he was saying is, I'll pay you $200 a month, but you don't have to XYZ. What was the XYZ?
You don't have to spray the shrubs or put out herbicide, fungicides, or any of the chemicals on the yard.
What about fertilizing?
For nothing. You don't have to do anything. All you have to
Just
do
mow and blow.
Just mow, blow, and go. Right,
Okay.
exactly.
So he's proposing the $200 for mowing and blowing.
Yeah, but understand something right here, another thing. This is not a small lot.
How big is it?
This is a 45,000 square foot lot with a 5,000 square foot house with 38,000 square feet of beds and sod. Okay. This is a huge property. This is not anything you go out.
Are you actually physically on location?
Absolutely.
So you actually do the work yourself?
Every week I'm out there with my crew. Either we have 2 or 3 guys out there every week, so I know what's going on.
How many customers do you have?
Right now, with the landscaping and the maintenance, right now we have 13 regular landscape maintenance customers, and we have just dozens of landscape customers that we do just strictly landscape and irrigation for.
The plaintiff says he did a yeoman's job landscaping and got stiffed by the defendant. But the defendant says he was awful and he's not paying. Let's listen.
So now he tells you, I'll do it for, I'll offer you $200 to do this reduced job, and you say no.
Well, that's pretty much what the gist of it was, and what he said is that I'll pay you the reduced rate. Well, the first part of the email is, rather than argue with you about this price, this is what I'm going to do.
Hand me the emails. Of course, you never agree to that, and then you never get paid for March, right?
Anyway.
Hand me the emails. Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. Plaskett.
All right. First of all, I'd just like to say that Mr. Perry is not working for me anymore because of the quality of his services have not been what I was paying him to do. If they were, he'd still be working for me. I'd be paying him. He'd be out there every week. They're not. The basis for my defense and my counterclaim against him is that, number one, I made a good faith effort to settle the March invoices with him. He rejected that. Secondly, the quality of his work has declined substantially over the past 6 months. And I've got a lot of evidence and pictures to show that. And then thirdly, as a result of that decline in services, I've suffered a financial loss. I'd like to first start with talking about some of the points that he's made, and I disagree with a lot of the points that he's made. He originally serviced my yard, and I paid him $170 just to mow and blow. Subsequent to that, he raised my rates in 2010 to $200 a month, and then I took him on to do the fertilization, and that included fertilizing the yard, also included treating the shrubs for disease and insects, et cetera. So there was a component of the services, $200 for the lawn, $100 for the fertilizer. The reason why I offered to pay him $100 a month for the March services, and that's because he has not put fertilizer, insecticide, whatever you may call it, on my yard or on my shrubs for over 5 months.
Okay, why'd you pay him for those 5 months, though? Because you didn't stop paying until March. So
Right.
you paid all those months that you say now that you were unhappy then, you were paying in full. So I don't understand.
it's part of the bill. You know, you look at it, you get angry about it. I talked to him on...
Do you have any correspondence with him where you're telling him you did not fertilize?
No, I talked to him on numerous occasions starting back in November regarding the quality of the lawn and some of the issues that were happening with the plants. I've got pictures of dead plants. I've got pictures.
When were the pictures taken?
They were taken after I dismissed him for his services because they had gotten to the point where I have weeds proliferated throughout my yard, and I've got dead shrubs that I have to replace.
Pictures. Do you have any pictures from before you and he got into the argument, quote unquote, about the fees?
There's also a picture in there too. I talk about the diminishment in the quality of his work. He cuts the yard, he edges.
Do you have the actual pictures?
That's
okay.
a picture
from my phone. How do I know when these were taken? I know they were taken after the dispute arose between you two, but they're basically a close-up picture of...
Yeah, I mean, I have the email which shows the attachments when I sent them to him at the end of March after I had released him of his services.
Again, you have nothing that shows displeasure 5 or 6 months ago, like you're saying, right? Because you're suing for 5 or 6 months ago worth of him not doing his job.
Right.
But and I have to make sure, somebody in my position, as you might understand, has to make sure that you're not just concocting this because you don't want to pay the last month. I have to know, just a second, I haven't finished.
Sure.
I have to know that there actually is displeasure and that there's actually a lack of him doing his job. And the best evidence of that is, how did you behave before the motivation to cook it up would happen? The motivation to cook it up, of course, would be that you guys are now in a dispute and he's suing you. And because he wants you to pay that March bill and you don't want to pay it. So I have to see, okay, 5 months worth of him not doing his job. Did he pay his bill in February and January and December and November and in October? And you did. You paid it in full. Is there a single email from you to him telling him, hey, you guys are slacking?
No, there were various phone calls, though, where I had asked him. I do have an email, too, to prove there were various phone calls where I requested him to come out and treat the yard. It did not happen. I came out and asked him to trim hedges. It did not happen. There's a picture there of a palm tree, a huge palm tree in the center of my driveway, which...
I'm from Florida. I know how fast this happens. So that's why I want to see some evidence of it beforehand, you know?
Right. There's an email where I asked him to provide the fertilization services, and he basically sent me back an email saying, weeds can't be controlled. Read this once, not twice, and you'll never ask me again about treating your dollar weed.
Read this once, not twice.
Yeah, he sent me a link to
Can I see that?
Yeah, I'm looking for it right here.
Okay, I have it.
Oh, you have it?
Read this not once, but twice.
Right.
Then you never have to ask me about dollar weed again.
Right, so this was when...
Steve Perry.
Right, this is when I had asked him to treat the yard.
What was that link that you were sending him?
The link that sent him, ma'am, was from the Extension Service from the University of Clemson. And what dollar weed is a pervasive weed that you never get rid of in a lawn. It's virtually impossible to get rid of, okay? It thrives in the ground. It thrives on water. It thrives near waterways where Mr. Plaskett lives near a waterway, okay? And I think
why do you have to shout? You're like, not to me, in the email.
Sorry.
It's in the email. It's capital letters. And it's sort of rude, actually. It's in January. Read this not once, but twice. Then you never have to ask me about dollar weed again.
Because this is after
Put your hand down.
Yeah. All right. This is after I've contacted him and contacted him and contacted him.
It's January. This is in January 26th. It's not in March.
No, ma'am, but I contacted, remember, about the original thing, about the increase of the chemicals and stuff like that. And he's ignoring my phone calls, and I know what he does.
Yeah, but he's obviously not. He obviously is asking you about dollar weed, so he's not ignoring your phone calls because he has an opportunity to ask you about dollar weed.
Yes, ma'am.
You're just like irritated that he keeps asking.
And we treated his yard. If you look at the invoices and my receipts for the chemicals, we treated his yard on the 27th of that month. He has no more dollar weed in his yard, Your Honor. So let's go back to the pictures that he's...
I don't know. You know, while I'm hearing you, I'm saying to myself, that's why I asked you if you actually show up, because I have spent my entire life in search, not of a man, but of a good gardener. Okay? I got lucky in the man department, but damn if I am not just... I just go through just service, and I'll meet somebody, and they'll talk a great game, and they never show up on my lawn. It's 4 people I've never met before, and they're always a different 4 people. And it starts off with how beautiful they're going to have everything looking, and next thing you know, it's mow and blow. And by blow, I mean leave. I do not mean blow. I mean leave. Mow and gone. And gone. So I'm listening to you and you're all kinds of, worked up. I don't know, it might be good to have this guy on my lawn. Until you shout at me in an email, then I'm like, I get yelled at all the time. I don't need my landscape guy yelling at me too.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. Why are so many gardeners slackers?
I guess because they have a lot of jobs to do and they just want to get through and
they're overloaded with work.
They're overloaded.
Is that what it is? I mean, so many people complain about gardeners. Why do you think it is? What do you think it is?
I think because they really don't know about the job and how hard it may be.
So they don't understand how to keep lawns and plants alive, which is actually a good answer. There are a lot of people who say, there are certain, people from certain countries make better gardeners. Like they say Cuba has a lot of really good gardeners or whatnot. I mean, why is it just endemic, a problem with gardeners?
I think most Hispanics are good gardeners because I'm Hispanic and I can have a green thumb too, so.
Fair enough. Okay, going inside the courtroom.
See, here's what people do when they don't like their landscaper or the person who's maintaining their lawn. They fire them, okay? So you pay the last month of somebody who you've had for 7 months. And you say, you know what? I find that, I don't need you anymore. I have somebody else who's going to come in. I'm not happy with your service. Or you don't even have to be that. You just say, you know what? Got somebody else. My nephew's in the business now. Say whatever you want, but you just terminate the relationship. What I have you doing is you want me to look back at 5 months ago and see that according to you, he's not fertilizing, he's not doing this, look at my dead plant, but you don't have any evidence of it. In fact, you act contrary to what you want me to buy because you are paying the man all that time. It isn't until he's hawking you over the price rate hike and I guess shouting at you in an email. And then when you guys stop getting along and you finally tell him, I found somebody to replace you, how much are you paying now for the lawn?
$300.
Because you don't want to pay the increase of $33 or whatever, or because you're just sick of him or whatever it is, it's fine. But I cannot now turn around and buy your word against his when you have no pictures from then, you have pictures from later, all right? And I'm from Florida. I know how fast weeds grow, okay, in our climate. And B, you don't act like a guy who feels like this guy wasn't doing his job because you've paid him all the time. Just pay the man. We're done. Pay the man the $300. Move along and go with somebody else if you like. You have a counterclaim against him, and for the very reasons I've just gone over, I am not going to award you a penny on your counterclaim. $300 verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Well, the lawn man has won this verdict here in the People's Court. Step on that or on the losing end. What's your reaction to this?
Obviously disappointed, but you have to respect the judge's decision. I think the only good thing is the guy is not going to be anywhere near my property anymore.
All right. Well, why didn't you just fire him if you weren't happy? You kept paying him.
I did fire him eventually. So it's just I wish I would have done it. It was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. Enough arrogance and annoyance where he tried to get more money out of him. I just said enough. So
all right.
You win some, you lose
how's
some.
the lawn looking?
A lot better.
All right. Head right down.
Thank you.
All right, so come on in here. Are you satisfied how this comes out?
Oh, absolutely. It was the case was just indicative of what the facts that the lady.
It's about your reputation or about the $300?
It's pretty much about my reputation. He's trying to say that our company, who maintains some of the finest lawns in the Tampa Bay area, didn't do what we're supposed to do, and we do what we're supposed to do. That's why they pay us a premium price to take care of their lawns, and. He realized that, and he didn't fire us. Okay, we terminated the services at the end of the month. Then the next day he fired us after we terminated the service.
All right, Harvey.
Okay, if somebody works at your house and they don't perform the job right, take pictures as you notice the problems. It will help you if you end up in a lawsuit. We'll do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.